Hello and welcome back to Beginning Sailboat Racing. My name's Jay Leon, and today we're going to talk about rules. And the most basic common rule: starboard tack over port tack. Well, what's a starboard tack? So to begin with, if your boat has the wind coming over the starboard side, it is on starboard tack. Starboard is the same as right. So right as starboard, port is left. If the wind is coming over the starboard side, it's on starboard tack. If the wind is coming over the port side, it's on port tack. Now, the evidence that the wind is coming over the starboard side is that the sail is on the port side. This gets a little bit confusing. But on starboard tack, the sail is on the port side. The wind's coming over the right-hand side, or the starboard side. That's how you're on starboard tack. Now, if you're going downwind, like this, and the wind's coming from directly behind you, and your sail is on the port side, your main sail is on the port side, you're also on starboard tack. If you have a boat that has a jib, the jib can be on the starboard side, whatever side it wants. But if the main sail is on the port side of the boat, you're on starboard tack. And similarly, if you're going downwind with the wind coming right behind you, and the sail is on, the main sail is on the starboard side, then you are on port tack. Okay, so if you have a boat sailing upwind in a race, close hauled, as close to the wind as possible, it's quite common for you to encounter another boat sailing upwind, close hauled, going the 90 degrees to your course. This one, we're going to draw a line there, is on starboard tack, because the wind is coming over the starboard side, sail's on the port side. It's going like that. And it's on a collision course with this boat here on port tack. In this case, the starboard tack boat has the right of way. Starboard tack boat always has the right of way. Its obligation is to drive straight. The port tack boat, its obligation is to avoid the starboard tack boat. So the port tack boat either has to get across before the starboard tack boat gets there, or go behind the starboard tack boat. And the starboard tack boat's job is to maintain its course, is to not make it harder for the port tack boat to avoid. And in this situation, it's not uncommon for the starboard tack boat to hail starboard, and just to alert the port tack boat to the fact that they have to avoid. And we call it ducking behind. If you're the port tack boat and you're going to go behind you, oftentimes you'll say, well, let's duck them, and you go down behind. Now, so there sometimes there's a hail involved where you just yell starboard. Similarly, if you're on port and you hear somebody yell starboard, it's a good thing to look around and see who you have to avoid. All right, so similarly, if you're going upwind, you're on starboard. The wind's coming over the starboard side, sail's on port. In a sailboat race, it's not uncommon for a port tack boat to think, oh my, I'm not going to be able to get across in front of this starboard tack boat, and tack right in front just like right here. And that is not so good for this person, because the wind gets deflected off of this boat, and this boat will eventually have to tack away because they can't really sail right there. So this port tack boat will come in doop, doop, like this. You go, oh no, I'm not going to cross, and tack right there. Now, in this case, this starboard tack boat may have preferred to just let this port tack boat go past. And that happens from time to time. So when you're out there sailing, it's not uncommon for a port tack boat who's coming along like this, on port, who does not have the right of way. Starboard tack boat has the right of way, and the port tack boat might hail, hey, tack or cross. So you might hear somebody yell, tack or cross. And that's because this port tack boat doesn't think they can get across, but if they can't get across, they're going to tack, and that tack might be right in the way of this starboard tack boat, even though they have the right of way. And so the starboard tack boat in that case might say cross, and that would obligate the starboard tack boat to go behind the port tack boat, even though they have the right of way. So it's a kind of a informal thing. You don't really ever want to get in a collision in this situation, because the starboard tack boat still technically has the right of way, and so on and so on. But if you do hear somebody yell, tack or cross, it's because they're the port tack boat and they're asking you if you want to let them go ahead, even though they don't have the right of way. And your answer, if you want them to go past, is just to say cross. Or you could say, you've got it, or okay, or whatever. But at that point, you as a starboard tack boat would then be obligated to go behind the port tack boat. So there you have it. Starboard over port.